To all our veterans, we have a simple yet heartfelt message. Thank you. Thank you for your unwavering service in peacetime and war. Now, our band will salute our veterans with the playing of the military anthems. We ask anyone who served in each branch to step forward and wave when your anthem is played.
The United States Army. The United States Marines. The United States Navy. The United States Coast Guard. The United States Air Force. If you are willing and able, please stand for the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We now ask everyone to stand and observe a moment of silence for those members of the military who gave the ultimate sacrifice of their lives while in service to our country. Thank you. Please remain standing for the playing of our national anthem. Fans, let's show our gratitude to our military. One more.
Welcome to RBTV's Game of the Week. I'm Liam Hickey, joined by Liam Cohen, and it is Friday, October 25th, Week 9, the last week of the Illinois High School Football Association regular season. Sitting at 4-4 on the season, the stakes could not be higher for Riverside Brookfield, who have the situation of winning or going home. The Bulldogs need to be victorious tonight if they want to cement their spot in the 6A playoffs, as a loss would put an end to their season. To do this, however, they need to get through the 7-1 conference champions, the Glenbard East Rams, without the likes of skilled players Jaden Karras and Warren Mason. Everything is on the line tonight in this USA-themed showdown under the Friday night lights in RB's last game at the Dog Pound this season. Liam, we know how dynamic Warren Mason and Jaden Karras can be for RB on both offense and defense. How will their absences affect the squad tonight?
I think it'll play a drastic difference in the defense and the offensive side of the ball. Warren Mason has been one of, if not the strongest player on the Bulldogs defense, and to have him out in quite possibly the most important game of the season with their season on the line, hoping to clinch a spot into the playoffs, it's going to be a hard-fought battle for their defense to be playing without him. And not only is he gone on the defense, starting safety Oscar Aguirre is also out with what seems to be a shoulder or arm injury, which that leaves two of their starting linebackers / safeties. Those are two big names to have off of your team.
Yes, and Joey Campani, who's a starting offensive and defensive lineman, is also out. So the injury list just continues to pile up for RB. Luckily, though, Carter Shelby will be playing in this game because there are some questions going into it. We didn't know if he'd be limited or if he'd be out. Luckily, he will be playing with a blue cast on, so that is luckily another big body that RB can add to bolster their defensive line. But talking about the offensive side of the ball, it's clear that John Carlo Garcia will have limited options to throw to tonight, with Xavier Morozic de Jesus likely being the bell cow of their wide receivers, with the looking to be the connection between Giancarlo and Xavier. Look for that connection for most of this game.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about it earlier. Jaden Karras out of the game is going to be a massive asset to have lost on your team. Jaden Karras has been a guy that you could always rely on. He's been a guy that we've been able to run in motion and a guy that you could run downfield. He's been a yard after catch demon this season. He's been able to turn up some what looks to be 5-yard gains into 30, 40-yard gains. It's his specialty, and to have a guy like that out it's a key loss for the offensive side. So, like you said, we're going to have to look for guys like Nico Caputo, an undersized receiver who has really yet to make a big name for himself in this Bulldogs offense, in which from the first game of the season looked like he was going to get plenty of reps, but as the season has gone on, up until the Karras injury, his reps have kind of gotten lower and lower.
Yeah, they've been designating him more to the kick returning, but it seems that him, Nick Rivera, and James Long will be the beneficiaries of the absences of Jaden Karras and Warren Mason tonight. in their last game against West Chicago. Nico Caputo had 2 receptions for 38 yards. Nick Rivera logged his first ever touchdown in this game, going with 2 receptions and 31 yards. And James Long getting involved too, so it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight with that. But I believe we can expect to see Xavier getting much of the volume with Giancarlo tonight. And we're going to need him to post a stat line similar to that of Glenbard South.
Yeah, as we head into the opening kickoff of the biggest game of the year for the Bulldogs. And the man back, look, I can't tell from here, but he's got space to run, and he's going to get it on the sideline. Moving up the sideline, pushed out of bounds around the 35-yard line. That's Nico Caputo, the man of the hour.
Yes, we were just talking about him, and it looks like he will continue to get those reps on special teams. But the question is, will he be a starting wide receiver for this team tonight as well? As we'll surely need him. And as we can see as well, Xavier Mrozek de Jesus sauntering onto the field. He'll be the X-Man tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. As you also see James Long, a man going onto the field that you don't really see often at the start of the games for at least the receiving corps. They're going to have him in as an extra blocker on that right-hand side. As we did mention, Joey Campagna is out for the game. They're going to need some extra blocks. They're going to hand it off to Renteria on the outside. He makes a cut. Beautiful cut that is. And he's going to get it up for a gain of about 8. Good way to start the game.
It'll be interesting to see how this run game evolves throughout the night. They've had some lackluster performances in the past, save for their game against Elmwood Park. But we can see it's without a doubt that Giancarlo is going to have to lean on them tonight with the absences of their wide receiver skill players. So look for that between both Ratana and Renteria receiving a lot of the volume.
Yeah, for sure. And something that we mentioned in our pregame show is the secondary. That's also something you have to look out for. As you see, they're kind of shadowing Xavier Mrozek de Jesus out on that right side. They know he's the dangerous asset in the offense. They're going to check one over to the middle for Nick Rivera, and it's in and out of his hands.
Shadowing Mrozek de Jesus is captain Chris Renford, a senior cornerback. So definitely one of the more experienced players on this Glenbard East roster. Be hard for Mrozek, so it'll be a primetime matchup.
Yeah, for sure. And a guy that's out there at the safety position is Amante Cook. He has been a demon both on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. He's a guy that you have to look out for if you're Giancarlo Garcia and if you are on the defense for the Bulldogs. He's been able to do it all for the Rams, and he looks to continue his well-played season. Garcia's going to take the snap, looking back to throw. He's got no options. Obi's looking to run. To the outside, Garcia goes. Pushing forward. Does he get the first? And they're going to mark him just short, about a yard or 2 short. We'll see big decisions to be made in this primetime game.
And we can already see Giancarlo Garcia getting activated on the run. This is something that he's definitely used to as he leads the team with 53.8 yards per carry. He has 7 total rush touchdowns on the season. He is the best when he is on his feet, scrambling outside the pocket. This is where he is most lethal. It'll be interesting to see going forward if that's where he'll be forced to go with the pressure coming from Glenbard East.
Yeah, for sure. His strong suit has clearly been on the game, as you just said. It's been his safety play. If he doesn't have a man downfield, he'd rather run it than force the ball into a double coverage or a single coverage that's heavily covered. And we're going to get a whistle here. Looks like to be a delay of game on the offense.
That would be unfortunate for field positioning as RB elected to punt on a 4th and 2. Bilo Bradick will have his work cut out for him, punting from around the 25.
Yeah, and like I talked about, that's Amante Cook back there to receive this punt. He's been a dangerous player all season. He's been a speedster, and he stands in at just 5'6", which is something you don't see often from a good football player like him. And he's going to call the fair catch to a beautiful punt, and there's a flag thrown, maybe a holding on the receiving team.
Amante Cook, very thankful that RB did not have to go against him, and he did not elect to not take the fair catch. His Instagram handle is Showtime, which is scary in its own right, but another player to watch out for heading into this RB game.
Seemed to be, the flag was thrown, but I'm not sure they called the penalty. Yeah, they did not. They're just going to leave him where he caught the fair catch.
Now it seems that Luke Ferguson is heading onto the field, who is a junior linebacker for RB. Their defensive unit now heading on. It seems that Carter Shelby is not with them, as he will be probably playing in a limited role tonight with that blue cast on.
Yeah, no doubt. As here comes the cannon of an arm, Michael Nee, looking to see what he could do with running back number 24, Valentino Heredia, who gets the handoff, is going to push forward for a couple of yards, give him 4 on the first down run.
We see Chris Renford lined up once again, this time on offense at wide receiver alongside number 1, Amante Cook. We'll see how they are utilized in the passing game, but for right now, Glenbard East elects to run.
Yeah, Chris Renford and Michael Nee, both captains of this team. Michael Nee, like I said, he has a great deep ball throw, and that it comes in very useful when you got a speed demon like Amante Cook. He's going to look back to throw. He's going to check one down to his receiver. That's number 18. That's Mohamed Moussleh, and he's going to get away for a big gain. Passes the Bulldog 50-yard line up around the 46.
Linebacker Max Shong is able to come up with a play there. He actually leads the conference in tackles, logging 7 tackles and 13 assisted tackles in their last game against West Chicago, which was unfortunately a blowout loss. Watch out for him as a playmaker on the defensive side of the ball tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. Max Strong has been a name that you've heard from us all season, whether it's been getting interceptions or getting pressure to the quarterback. This man has been able to do it all. He's going to need to step up big time in this big time game. As here comes Nee down to throw it again. He's looking downfield. He's got Cook, and he finds Cook, and Cook to the end zone for a Rams touchdown early in the game.
That did not take long for Cook to elude the secondary of RB. As you can see there, using his speed over the likes of John Evans and their safety, who is coming in as a backup for Oscar Aguirre. Very unfortunate start for RB as they're unable to stop Glenbard East early.
Yeah, and almost right on cue. I talked about it right at the start of this drive. I said Amante Cook, the speed demon, he's a big deep threat. And when you get a good deep threat and you get a good deep threat quarterback in Michael Nee, it just clicks like on plays like those, knowing that your speed demon will probably outrun the defense. And the field goal attempt is good.
It's a shaky attempt, though, as their quarterback comes in as a place kicker, Michael Nee, and he bobbles it. But luckily, their kicker is able to get it off.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you saw that, but that field goal dropped probably 3 yards outside or behind the field goal post. Did not get through with power. It got through with height, but still good no matter how it went. And now the Bulldog receiving team comes back on the field hoping to get good field position yet again.
Unfortunately, Garcia will be playing down now on his second drive of the game. We'll see how he can handle this. Big implications, like we said, going into this game as RB needs a win to earn a playoff bid. Without that, their season will be over.
Yeah, Garcia has been a quarterback that we've seen kind of struggles from behind. When he gets behind, there's the lead kind of pulls away. But something that we didn't, or a game that we didn't see that happen was Glenbard South. A game we'll probably be referring back to plenty of times today, as it was a back and forth game the entire game. Garcia had his best game that we've seen all season. He's going to need another game like that to beat a good team like this.
Yeah, he was absolutely cooking in this game, going 15 for 23 with 282 yards and 2 passing touchdowns, finding Xavier Morosa de Jesus twice. And that is the connection we will need to look for in this game against the other Glenbard team, where these two need to get going together, and they need to establish a connection early.
Yeah, and the kick is off, and it's going to be de Jesus with it this time. He's going to look up the left side. Makes one move, gets to the outside again. He's going to get dragged out of bounds around the 30-yard line. A good return from de Jesus.
And we could already see the athletic power coming from de Jesus early, just making Nate Miller, a running back for this team that was found on special teams for Glenbard East, look silly there, slipping that tackle quite easily.
Yeah, that was a beautiful move. I was going to say it on air that there was not many blockers upfield for Morosa de Jesus, but that did not matter as he beat the guy right in front of his face straight to the sideline, getting them good field position to the 30-yard line as we start the drive with Ratana in the backfield, and he's going to get the carry. He's to the outside, a good run, good blocking. He's going to stay up, breaks one tackle, but falls to the ground after getting pushed. That's number 2, Tarin Hayter.
Yeah, he just got stifled there by number 7, Stephen Fox as well, who came in from the safety position to blow up that play. Ratana not getting much on that. He'll be looking for another big game like he had against Elmwood Park, where he had a crazy stat line going 6 carries for 37 yards and averaging 6.2 yards per carry. He's going to need something dynamic like that once again tonight.
Yes, here comes Long, the man in motion. He's going to move Ratana to his left side again. That helps with the coverage. They're going to give it back to Ratana, and he's met at the line. Met in that is number 12. That's Orlando Hoy III.
Yeah, their forward progress there was stymied by the lack of the offensive line's ability to cover for him. Number 13, Max Strong, putting in an unusual role as an offensive lineman there, as he was, or no, that was actually number 73, Joaquin Yara, who playing right now was unable to stop this impending defensive line.
Yeah, so clearly looking to throw here is Garcia on 3rd and long. He's going to look the way to Morozic, to Jesus. Has to roll out, fires downfield to a man. He's got Rivera, and Rivera's got room, but he's met at the sideline. Pushed out of bounds after a big first down for the Bulldogs.
Beautiful dot from Garcia, finding his sweet spot, scribbling out to the right side of this offense. That's where he's most dangerous, and he finds Rivera one-on-one coverage and is able to slip it in before their cornerback can put in a punch. And they're able to slip through and get a first down there on 3rd and long.
Yeah, like we talked about, Garcia's most dangerous outside of the pocket. Looks to make a man jump, and they do get the flag. They're going to call an offsides on the defense.
Discipline will be a big factor in this game. One reason why they won against Elmwood Park was because they only had 3 penalties as opposed to Elmwood Park's 10, which resulted in a gain of 58 extra yards in that game. That resulted in a 56-21 W for the Bulldogs and a dominant offensive display.
Yeah, and the handoff is here to Ratana. Ratana breaks a man, and he gets room. He gets a good gain of around 10 for another Bulldog first down.
Beautiful from Ratana there, moving the chains for this RB offense as they creep closer to the red zone. If they can string together some more plays here and chew some clock, they can tie this game up and not give Glenbard East a chance to come down with any time remaining in the first quarter. As we see now, I believe it's Ratana still lined up behind, putting in motion now.
Yeah, and Garcia's going to give the snap right back to Ratana. Ratana with another move, but to no avail as he gets a gain of around 4.
As we can see right now, Ratana has the hot hand in this offense, so he is taking precedence over Damian Renteria, who had a monster game as well against Elmwood Park, having 12 carries for 80 yards, averaging 6.7 yards per carry, including a touchdown on the night.
Yeah, again, some strong games from Renteria and Ratana showed a strong win, as this time is going to be a keep for Garcia. Garcia's going to try to get to the sideline, but won't. He slips up, and flag is thrown. We'll see what the call is.
Good play by Garcia to get some extra yardage, but he was met by 2 opposing defensive players on Glenbard East, but we'll see what the call is.
The refs seem to be pointing to something right at the field. Not sure what. Let's see what the call is here. It's going to be a holding on the offense. Again, discipline's a killer. That's going to push them back after a pretty good start to that set of downs. Now,
yeah, and all that forward momentum started by that find between Rivera and G. Garcia is now nullified by this penalty.
Yeah. Now, I would expect some either short pass to just cut up some yards for a 3rd down play, or maybe shoot for the stars on a 2nd down. We'll see what happens here as Caputo gets put in motion with little time on the play clock.
Lining up alongside Nick Rivera, Caputo is met by number 2.
And they're going to fake the handoff. They're going to give it to Rivera. Rivera catches it and is thrown to the ground, but the ball seems to be picked up by Joaquin Jara, unless he did drop the ball.
And it seems that it is kept by RB, luckily. Ball security will be a big thing moving forward in this game. We saw Bubba Novak, a JV quarterback brought up by RB in their game against Elmwood Park 2 weeks ago, draw a fumble. But luckily, it seems that RB is able to maintain possession here.
Yeah, that was a big boy tackle right there on Nick Rivera. I don't know if you saw that. He was lifted off his feet as he caught that ball. Luckily, we get the ball back for a 3rd down attempt as Garcia is going to look to Jesus. He's not open. He's going to find Caputo, and he's met right as he catches it by Tareen Hatter.
Call him the Mad Hatter. He is coming in with these ferocious tackles this game. Him and Stephen Fox, both with similar haircuts.
Yeah.
Menacing in the backfield.
4th and 6 from the 32-yard line.
Looks like the Bulldogs will elect to go for it on the 4th down. as for most high school kickers, this is far outside of their range.
Let's see if RB can set the standard here. Their fourth down conversion rates have not been great in past games, but can they set a different tone here?
And they're going to look to DeJesus, and some miscommunication out there as it's picked off. That seems to be number 2, Taryn Hatter, and he's going to take it to the house. Excuse me, that's Chris Renford on the pick 6. 13-0 Rams.
Team captain Chris Renford takes it back on an error from the communication on Garcia and their coordinator, as Garcia just throws it into his space where their wide receiver is absolutely blanketed by Renford.
Yeah, it seemed like the intended target was DeJesus, as they talk about it on their way to the sideline. So you can see in the corner of your screen. That seemed to just be simple miscommunication between the quarterback and the receiver, which can obviously, as it shows, lead to some bad plays for the offense.
Yeah, it seems like Garcia was looking for DeJesus on a different route than what DeJesus had run, and it resulted in a costly 6 points.
Yeah,
could turn into 7.
Yeah, it seemed as if it was to be a go route in the mind of Morozic DeJesus, but in the head of Garcia, it was a 5-yard dig route where he just stops to try to get the first down, and to no avail as it ends up in their own end zone.
Well read, though, by the team captain, Chris Renford, a veteran player for this team.
As this kick is right through the uprights to make it 14-0. 7 minutes into the game.
5 minutes, 39 seconds left in the first quarter as RB is already down 2 scores. Unfortunately, they're going to need to come back here as their season is on the line and they need to be playing with some more intensity.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, obviously they can't rely on penalties from the opposing team to try to push them forward through the field, as they did a little bit on that last drive. But let alone they did march up the field by themselves up until they were called on the holding penalty that would have left them with a 2nd and 2, but instead it left them with a 2nd and 16, and forcing them to go for it on 4th down, led to a pick 6, which is not the second drive the Bulldogs were hoping for whatsoever.
Not at all, but credit to the running game, specifically Jacob Bertano, who has been helping this team. They've been moving the chains, getting some first downs and some positive yardage with him as the main carrier. Hopefully they can look more towards him to alleviate that pressure that Garcia is feeling right now. He had 13 attempts for 51 yards in their last game against West Chicago. Hopefully he can replicate a similar stat line.
Yeah, for sure. Bertano has had a pretty good start to the game so far. Like you mentioned, on that last drive was as good as he could have been. You know, that's the best drive we've seen from him at home this season, as he has shown major struggles to our side of the field. But to open up this game, him and Renteria both have had good starts, getting some good gains that clearly helps the offense when they're down a big receiver in Karras.
And we're going to need to see Garcia spread the ball out a little bit more. We now know that Renford is heavily covering DeJesus, so he needs to look more for Nico Caputo, for James Long, and Nick Rivera. Some more in this next possession.
Yeah, as the kick is off, and it's to the hands of Caputo again. Caputo's going to break to the outside, break another outside, and he's going to get met. Excuse me, that doesn't seem to be Caputo. It looks to be John Bielabradek this time.
John Bielabradek taking in some reps aside from being a kicker. He's getting active, and we actually saw him as a cornerback in some games as well, including the one against Hinsdale South where they lost. He will probably be playing all over for tonight, as they have many people on their injured list for RB.
Yeah, for sure. As you see every time we're on the sideline camera, you see guys in slings, just guys in their hoodies and jerseys. And sadly, they're all big guys to this team, like Jaden Karras, who is clearly missed by Garcia, throwing a second drive pick, as this time they're going to hand it off right up the gut to Ratana, and he's just met at the line as the pile gets pushed. Finally, whistles are blown. They're going to give him a yard.
Yeah, gets barely anything there. But like you mentioned, it's week 9 of the season, and it's a war of attrition at this point. Guys are falling left and right, and it's going to be an all-hands-on-deck performance from the guys that are still healthy. Everyone's going to need to play their role and then some. They're going to need to play another role as well if they want to come out with a win here tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Like we talked about earlier in the game, James Long hopping on the offense. He's a guy that you usually see on the defensive side of the ball. We have seen him on the offense, excuse me, earlier this season, but it hasn't been as much as he has in this game. As Garcia's going to start this snap in an empty backfield, but he's going to call to Jesus to his side. He's going to fake it to Jesus. Tries to go up right up the gut, and he's met again. Maybe give him a yard, but no, they're going to say he just gets back to the line.
Yes, David Jergel in there with an assisted tackle for this Glenbard East defensive line, along with number 76, Cooper Conless, a captain for this team as well. It's going to be hard to see if the offensive line can stifle the defensive line's attack on the quarterback.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, this defensive line has shown massive improvements in the past 2 runs than they did in the first drive. They seem to be putting up, a good fight compared to that last drive where they were kind of just getting torn through from the running backs. As Garcia, again, will be forced to throw on this 3rd and 8. We'll see what the play call is. He's going to take the snap,
Whistle's
and
blown.
they're going to get a delay of game here.
I would venture to say, however, that delay of game, that's a stupid penalty. That needs to be corrected immediately. You cannot keep having those. That comes from just a lack of coordination from the coordinator and the quarterback, and that's something that needs to be fixed quickly.
Yeah, but like we talked about, that's something that's going to be seen more often in this game. With big starters out, you got backups coming in and filling in roles that they haven't been in all season. These are more snaps than they're used to seeing. And again, that comes with, making the adjustment to the play clocks. If their last snaps were played on JV, maybe they have less time. And obviously, they're going to be a lesser role player than they were the last time that they were played an entire game.
These are the kinks you'd hope they'd work out at practice before the game, before they're hoisted into this role.
And Garcia's going to step back to throw, and he's going to get sacked. That's number 76.
Cooper Conless once again, defensive tackle. What a menacing presence he is. 235 pounds, 5'10". That's a big guy right there. And the troubling part for this RB offense is that I would venture to say their secondary that they're going against is even better than the defensive line that they're getting stifled by.
Yeah. I mean, when you have what seems to be the starting receiving core for Glenbard East all playing cornerback, that shows that that's true athleticism.
Oh, we got a fake here.
John Bieler-Briddick's going to look to fake a punt, but he doesn't. It's going to go right into the hands of Cook, and Cook's going to make his way up the sideline, give him some good field position, starting around the 30, but 2 flags on the field right now.
Clever idea by John Bieler-Briddick as he saw the pressure in closing on him quickly, so he had to scramble out to make the punt. But that forward momentum did not allow him time to get power on the ball, and Monte Cook was able to field that around the 45 and take that all the way to around the 25 for a great field position for the Glenbard East offense.
Yeah, and if you go back to our pregame show, one thing that I mentioned was we can't give them good field position. That's where they're gonna strive in good field position, like they do now, just starting just hardly outside the red zone at the 26-yard line. This is just bound to be a good drive for the Rams.
Yeah, and you see with these good teams, Glenbard East is 7-1 on the season, 5-0 in conference, and they're on a 6-game win streak. It's the little things that matter when you're playing these good teams. If you can shore up those little details, that's where you're going to have success. And RB has been making mistakes at every corner so far, and Glenbard East has been pouncing on them, and they'll most likely capitalize on this mistake here. But it looks like there's a flag that brought him back a little bit.
Yeah, it seems to be a little miscommunication between the refs and the head ref, as this, instead of starting at their own 26, the Dogs are starting at their own 48 or 46-yard line, excuse me. So the Rams, good field position, but not as good as it could have been, as they're going to look outside for a screen pass. That's number 3, Chris Renford. And again, he breaks free. Chris Renford towards the end zone. Give him his 2nd touchdown of the day. 1 on offense and 1 on defense.
Crazy acceleration there as he's able to receive the check down and then burst through that backfield on the line there, taking it down the sideline. No one's able to catch him. You even see some people in the secondary for RB try to make that diving play, but they just cannot get a hold of him.
And there's a flag on the field. They're going to wave the flag off, and it's just going to be a touchdown. I mean, we said it pre-game, the deep ball, the long plays, they're going to happen. And it's something that needs to be held by the Bulldog defense.
Could this game have started any worse for RB? Already down 21-0 with still some time left in the first quarter. It's going to take a lot of perseverance and resilience to overcome this deficit.
Yeah, and I mean, pure acceleration, like you said. I don't think I've ever seen a man jump that fast off of getting the ball. He came in for a screen pass from the far side of the field, let alone, which should allow the defense to obviously get there closer to him, but that did not matter. He bounced to the outside and cut back in with pure speed, and once he got past that last man, no one's catching him.
Yeah, the athleticism, stark difference between them and Elmwood Park, team that RB faced only 2 weeks ago. Dealing with some much better guys, both agility-wise and strength-wise, and it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, and as you just saw on the sideline camera, you saw Max Strong clearly infuriated as we are still looking at him on the sideline, fuming, as I would be too, as what seemed to be big miscommunication for the Bulldogs. And being a captain and a hard-working player on this team, this is not how you want to go out with your season.
Yeah, Max Strong is definitely a leader for this defense, and that can be shown by his stat lines. One of the leaders in the state for the amount of tackles he's had on the season. But luckily for him, there is a future outside of football, as he's an extremely smart student in the classroom. And after football season, he will be participating in the wrestling and lacrosse program, both in the winter and spring, respectively.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we say this every week. I mean, that the man can do everything. It's crazy what he could do. I mean, his sophomore year, he was actually the running back on the team and put up some really good stats that I was shocked by.
He had multiple touchdowns on the season.
Multiple. As the kick is underway, it seems Caputo is the man back again, as he's going to try to go up the middle this time, but he's going to make a cut back, and he's met. That's 13. That's Cameron Ducato with a big tackle.
One thing that I have not seen Glenbard do so far is miss a tackle. Every time they've latched onto a guy, they've been able to bring him down, which is something that I cannot say the same about for RB. And that's going to pay dividends for Glenbard East in their defensive game today.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. Obviously, we talked about the injuries, and it's going to be harder for some backups to tackle some of the stronger players on Glenbard East. But it doesn't matter. There's no excuses at this point of the season. You're 9 weeks in. You should be able to tackle anybody that's within arm's length. But there's just not much they could do, as the handoff is going to be faked to, and Garcia's going to keep it, try to push forward for a couple extra yards. They're going to mark him down at the 29-yard line, give him 5.
Seems to be a play that the coordinator has fell in love with so far. They've ran this about 3 or 4 times so far, and gain of 6 yards, so effective on this particular instance. We'll see if RB elects to go with a similar strategy for this next play.
Yeah, as they're going to fake the handoff again to Morozic to Jesus, as Garcia again is going to try to jump forward for a couple extra yards. This time, it's not enough, as they're going to give him just about 1 or 2 yards. And a man is down for the offensive line of the Bulldogs. That looks to be Carter Shelby.
You hate to see that. He has been limited all week in practice, and the hope going into this game was that he'd be able to return at full capacity, and it seems that he's already down.
And he is in extreme pain, which we assume is the hand injury. But let's talk more about the rest of the game so far. We've said it already once or twice before. This could not be a more horrific start for the Bulldogs.
It could not, and RB needs to get something going immediately. It seems so far they've taken some pages out of the West Chicago playbook with the option schemes they've been running. That's something that West Chicago has been notorious for, and it was something that definitely befuddled the RB defense last week, losing 41-10. And we're hoping that RB can maybe start to implement a different scheme here. They need to elect more to use Xavier. They need to use these weapons that they have, although they are limited.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we just saw those last 2 plays. Xavier Morozic was the man in the backfield, which is a new look that we haven't seen yet this season. Again, probably a script right out of the playbook of West Chicago, as they're known for throwing any man that they can into the backfield. But it seemed to work on the first play, and then rerunning that exact play came to no avail and to a loss of a strong offensive lineman.
Yeah, and to impact the absence, to impact emphasis of Warren Mason's absence on this RB offense, he erupted last week and against Elmwood, namely against Elmwood, going for 2 touchdowns with a 59-yarder and a 22-yard grab for 81 yards in total. He's been, in the second half of the season, going ballistic as a wide receiver.
Yeah, and this time they're going to hand it off to Ratana with some backup linemen in there. He's going to get a good push and he's going to get a first down.
That was an angry run there as he had some exceptional yards after contact carries there.
First down.
Yeah, and it seems like the man stepping in for Shelby is the RBT man himself, Mason Mislinski, on the offensive line. He was a big part of that big run right there that gave RB the first down and hopefully some momentum to march down the field. As they're going to give it to Ratana again. He's going to cut inside. Maybe made the wrong decision, and he's just maybe getting back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, and he is met with brute force by, once again, Cameron Zuccato, an inside linebacker, weighing at 185 pounds. Short and stout, though, however, as he's only 5'9".
Bring up second down and 11 from the
Yeah,
36-yard
I
line.
mean, what we've seen from Glenbard East so far is these shorter guys are not small in power. They are powerful men, which they seem to show blitz with their safety, Steven Fox, and he's going to get to the running back in the backfield, but then he's met right at the line.
Steven Fox himself only at 5'10", which is considerably small for a player at his position.
No gain on the play.
Looking at their offense, they only have one guy that's over 6 foot, 6'2" wide receiver, Lucas Freeze, who is a junior. Everyone else seems to be around average height for the average person.
Yeah, as again, the Bulldogs are met with a 3rd and long. This is not the first or second time we've seen it this game. So we'll see what the play call is. We have seen one target towards Morozek de Jesus, and that resulted in an interception. We'll see if they go back his way. It's not looking like they do, but it looks like they should have, as Garcia's going to roll out, finds Ratana way in the backfield, and he's going to lose 5 yards on that play.
And that was some great pressure applied by number 88 there, Donovan Brooks, who was able to notice that Garcia was scrambling out to his right once again and was able to get to him. And Garcia was only forced to pitch it down to Ratana for some negative yards.
Yeah, a little confusing play there is we would expect some kind of ball to go towards Morozek de Jesus, but it did not. And on his route, de Jesus had about 5 yards of space. I think the look should have been to Morozek there, but it was not, resulting in a 4th and 16.
Yeah, and with the first-year quarterback like Garcia, you're going to expect these type of mistakes to happen. The only hope is that he limits them. And throughout the season, we've seen him improve and transform as a playmaker, as a leader for this RB offense. And we can only hope that he continues to transform as a quarterback in future years, as he still has 2 more left.
Yeah, the man is bound to be dangerous in these upcoming years, as in his first year leading a team to 4, potentially and hopefully 5 wins in a season. That's not easy to do with your first year under center. He's had a great rookie season. Obviously, as we've seen guys like Caleb Williams, guys like Jaden Daniels, they start off their season slow. But then as they pick up and hopefully pick up in the rest of their careers, they deemed to be dangerous.
And luckily for him, he has guys in his wide receiver room returning as well, such as Xavier, such as Jaden Karras, and JV quarterback, wide receiver Jim Giacomelli, as well as Nico Caputo. So there are a lot of young guys that will be rising up with him in this offense.
Yeah, no doubt, as here comes Bila Braddock on the punt. He's going to be hit after no flag thrown. Questionable play there for no flag, as Bila Braddock's going to give it to the ref and let him know.
That was a blatant roughing the kicker call that should have resulted in some penalties for this Glenbard East team. And the ref just does not see it, even though it's happening 5 yards in front of him.
Yeah, something like if you were watching that Thursday Night Football game, that face mask on Sam Darnold. I mean, that was blatantly obvious, and so was that roughing the kicker.
Missed calls like these doing an injustice to the game, and hopefully that will not result in any extra points for Glenbard East, as RB cannot afford to go down more than 3 scores.
Yeah, Glenbard East has been 2 for 2 on their offensive drives. Obviously, they had the defensive touchdown, which is how they sit at 21 points. As Nee is going to take his first snaps under center, something we don't see often in offense or high school football. And he's going to give the handoff to his running back. That's Valentino Heredia. He's still up and moving, but he gets nowhere. Back to the line. Maybe give him 1.
And we can now see that Valentino Heredia is evolving as the main ball carrier between these 2 running backs, as they're letting go with him more than junior running back Kedrick Dennis, who received a few carries in their last drive, but now it seems that they're letting go with Heredia once again.
Yeah, and the run game has been something we've seen, I believe, once and now twice this game, as they're going to pitch it back to Heredia this time to the outside. And again, he's met at the line. They're going to call a loss on the play to make it 3rd and long.
Yeah, Heredia goes nowhere there. Tackle put in partially by Luke Ferguson, as well as number 85 for Riverside Brookfield. So that now resulting in a 3rd and 10 for this Glenbard East. One of the first 3rd and long situations for them all game.
Yeah, one of Mike Cohen's keys was to get pressure on the quarterback. Obviously, it helps when you get pressure on the running back as well. If you can get through that line of scrimmage, that goes a long way, as it has so far this drive. Obviously, we'd expect a throw to Cook or a throw to Renford on this play, as those have been the 2 big guys. But let's see what they do here. As Knee's going to roll out wide. He's looking for Renford, and he misses him. That's going to be a 3 and out for Glenbard East.
RB gets lucky there, as number 3, Chris Renford, a name we've said all too much so far, completely found himself with so much space and time as he got number 85 lost. But luckily, Knee was not able to connect with him, resulting in a 4th down in a punting situation.
Yeah, the number 85 is Danny Loftus. Again, one of the newer players to this team, a guy that you're going to see more action of with important men down. And lots of confusion on this Bulldog returning side, as the Rams are running some strange kind of punt formation.
RB investing a lot of trust into their new player, Danny Loftus, who is a star basketball player, as he is put in with the heavy assignment of covering Chris Renford, their most dynamic wide receiver.
Yeah, as whistles were blown prior to the snap, we're not really sure what happened. But here comes Chris Renford now to punt. I would not be surprised with a fake punt here, but we'll see what they elect to do. They're going to get it to Renford. He will punt this ball, but it maybe gets to the 1st down marker, but it'll get a little bit of roll onto it, getting to the Bulldog 47-yard line. Questionable play.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the coach was thinking there, as it is clear that maybe the first time Chris Renford has ever punted a ball that went maybe 20 yards at maximum in the air. He had the weirdest
approach
I've ever seen, going one hand with his less dominant hand and then kicking the ball with one foot. It was definitely something that you see from a novice kicker.
I feel like everything about that punt was wrong, as he held the ball sideways. He held it with his non-dominant hand and didn't even step into it. But let alone, the Rams remain with a 21-0 lead, as the Bulldogs start with the best field position they've had yet, as Garcia and his offense hope for a successful drive, their first one of the day, as they're going to start with the handoff to Ratana, and Ratana again met behind the line. They're going to say he lost 3 or even 4.
Yeah, once again met by Ducato and number 89 for Glenbard East. It seems now that Glenbard East is catching on to their scheme, and RB might have to start switching it up.
Yeah, as you see Xavier Morozic de Jesus makes his way out to the left side of the field. The man following him is Chris Renford. Chris Renford seems to know his assignment, and so does their defensive coordinator, telling him to mirror de Jesus all game. They're going to give it to Ratana again this time. He's going to get a good gain of about 7, but leaves them with a 3rd and 7.
Good yardage by Ratana on that play. He's able to break through a gap he found, a seam left by some of their blockers, such as Nick Rivera and number 11 for RB, James Long paving the way. Eventually tackled by Orlando Hoy III for Glenbard East.
Yet again, a 3rd and somewhat longer for the Bulldogs. They hope to convert for their second one of the day, as Garcia's going to take the snap, looks left, no man there. He's going to roll out, looks for somebody. No one's open. Everyone's covered. And we'll see what the play is here, as Garcia's going to throw it away on leaving a 4th and 7.
Excellent blocking by number 55, Damian Nieves, on that play, however, as Stephen Fox creeped in from the safety position to go and blitz the quarterback. But he could not get anywhere with the presence of Damian Nieves right alongside him. However, once Garcia escaped out to the right side, Nieves was unable to do much, as Fox had a clear route right to him.
Yeah, and to make it even worse, they're going to call a intentional grounding on Garcia, as I did think it was a questionable play that instead of throwing it downfield out of bounds, he just threw it 3 yards to the ground. He made his way outside the pocket, but you also have to throw it near a receiver, making this punt just farther for John Bielebradek.
Yeah, he is not making Bielebradek's job any easier, especially when we know it's going to go into the hands of number 1, Amante Cook, their star returner on special teams.
And looks like there's going to be a flag in the defense here for offsides.
Offsides on the defense.
Riverside Brookfield finally catches a break as the flag is pulled out, this time for Glenbard East, which will put them back to a similar spot that they were to begin with.
From the Rams, 48-yard line.
Yeah, sadly, it will not reset the downs, but this will make the punt end up that much farther for Bielebradek, as they seem to be in a more max cover style, not sending guys down the field. He's going to get a hold of this one. Fair catch called for Cook, as he calls it at the 15-yard line.
Bielebradek showing Amante Cook or Chris Renford how it's done with a thunderous punt that ends up in the 15-yard line, backing Glenbard East up quite a bit.
Yeah, Chris Renford might need to take a play out of Bielebradek's playbook, as that, again, was one of the most horrific punts we've seen from somebody attempting a punt. But Glenbard East gets the ball back at their 15-yard line, fresh off of a 3-and-out from both them and then the Bulldogs. This is the first time we've seen them inside of their 20.
All game.
All game.
Yeah, most definitely a lapse in the play calling earlier in that punt, but RB is not able to do anything off of that, leaving Glenbard East back to where they started, up 21-0 with 8 minutes left in the second quarter.
Yeah, and Kendrick Dennis is the man in the backfield. They're going to give it to him. He's got a blocker, but not much after. He'll make it to the 20-yard line at most, as they'll give him the gain of 4.
Even with the loss of Joy Campagna, and now we'll bring it down to our silent reporter with an interview.
20-yard line.
I'm here with the RBTV teacher, Mr. Matthew Holdren, and he said you'd like to give a word. So,
hey everybody, I just want to shout everybody out for working so hard this season. It's our last football game of the season, but I especially want to shout out the Liams up in the booth. They're up there doing their thing. Little fumble looks like possibly, but Liam, Hickey, Liam, Cohane, you guys are the best to ever do it here at RB, and you're leaving a long, storied tradition. So you're the GOATs. I love you guys. I'll miss you. We got basketball season, but I'll still miss your football days. So back to you, boys.
As you may have heard being commentated by our interviewee, Mr. Holdren, there has been a fumble in favor of RB, who have now recovered the ball around the 20-yard line, putting RB in excellent field position and in prime position to go and score.
Yeah, it seemed to be Max Strong, the man that we said came off the field last time fuming, was the one that broke up the play, forcing a fumble, giving the Bulldogs some beautiful field position, the best they've had all game, as they're going to start this drive with no man in the backfield.
We're going to have to start doing more interviews.
I mean, I feel like every time something big happens, they're going to put Caputo in motion. They're not going to look his way. They're going to look Morozic to Jesus' way, as it's overthrown on a screen pass, almost picked off.
Yeah, Garcia immediately met with pressure upon snapping the ball, as David Yergel blitzes him, a senior defensive tackle, monster of a man, 6'4", 250 pounds. You do not want that coming right at you, and Garcia's lucky that there's no pick there.
Yeah, that's not a size or a build that you want anywhere within 5 yards of you as a quarterback, especially coming in hot. As Rotana makes his way back to the backfield, he's going to get the ball again, and he's met 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
And that time it is Stephen Fox, a safety, who comes in the blitz, and this time he comes up with the play. Last time he was met by Nieves at the line, but this time he is able to tackle Rotana right away and get some negative yardage and halt RB's momentum.
Yeah, and again, a 3rd and long. common sight that we've seen throughout this game. As Garcia takes the snap, fakes the handoff, didn't fool many. He rolls out, nobody's open. He's looking for something in desperation.
Oh.
He gets a big block. He looks downfield, it's caught by maybe Jacob Bertana, but well behind the line of scrimmage. Or it's Nick Rivera on the catch.
Yeah, and obviously not the best play in terms of yardage, but you could see Nieves foaming at the mouth to get in that pancake of a block. That was nice, dropping in his shoulder to lay in to the oncoming blitzer. But unfortunately, number 73 for RB, Joaquin Yara, comes up gingerly after the play, so hopefully he's still okay.
And we're going to see a field goal attempt, possibly the longest one for Bela Bradek, as they make some communication with his holder, DeJesus.
This is upwards of a 45-yard kick, I believe, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, from the 36-yard line, it's going to be a 46-yard kick. Wow, and almost drawing a flag there, which might have been the intention of getting the kicking unit out there so fast, as Glenbard East was just able to call the timeout before they were caught with too many men on the field.
Yes, and if that's the intent, then I applaud the coaching staff at RB, but if not, then this is absolutely not the play, as you should try to be going for as many points as you possibly can, down 21 already with little time left in the first half. You cannot afford to settle for a field goal that will most likely not even go through.
Yeah, obviously some doubt in the minds of at the booth, but some hope too, as John Bela Bradek spent his entire summer working with that hustle hard crew, working on being the next kicker for RB, in which he came right in and snagged that position as he gets ready to kick a 47-yard field goal.
A little surprised that Glenbard East has no one lined up in the backfield ready to receive it if it goes short.
And it's very short.
That is blocked by the outstretched hands of the Glenbard East special teams defense.
Field goal is no good.
Unfortunately, because that seemed to have power on it,
The Rams
but it could not clear the initial press.
on the
And
30-yard
RB still with a goose egg on the scoreboard.
Yeah, again, like we said, kind of questionable to throw that field goal out there from the 46, or from a 46-yarder, let alone that's always a questionable play. But this leaves the Rams with field position starting at the 20-yard line. Not a bad play if you think about it. I do believe the rule is in IHSA, if you do attempt a field goal that leaves, and you miss, it leaves the opposing team at the 20-yard line. So gets them a good 20 yards, or 15 yards further than they were before, as he's going to look downfield on the first play of the drive. He's got Lucas Fries down the field, and he is gone. Couldn't even finish my sentence, as Michael Nee finds Fries downfield for an 80-yard touchdown.
Fries standing at 6'2", 175 pounds, with a grab from over the shoulder. Beautiful dot thrown by Michael Nee. Great connection.
Yeah, as you see here on the replay, the Dogs just clearly were not ready for a deep ball thrown on the first play, as that looks to be Michael Callis, the safety, stepping in for Aguirre. Tries to make the leap to try to trip up the feet of Fries, and it comes to no avail with an 80-yard touchdown.
Yeah,
for
that
the
is
Rams.
Unfortunately, the second time Callis has gotten torched today, with the first being the first touchdown by Amante Cook. Callis stepping in, like you said, for Oscar Aguirre, whose presence has been felt, or lack of has been felt so far this game. Last game he played in against Glenbard South, he had 4 tackles and 7 assisted tackles, which saw him more active in the blitzing game. But now, absent for 2+ games, it's a problem for RB. Down 20-0 now with 6 minutes left in the second quarter.
Yeah, like we said, literally the play before the 80-yard touchdown, you need all the points you can get. And not only was the field goal going to only cut the lead to 18, that doesn't make it any less scores. That still leaves them at a 3-score game. And it's costly when you have a team that can rely on a deep ball like the Rams can.
It seems that RB safeties need to adjust and drop deeper from here on out, as they cannot afford these long go-route plays to keep happening. They're getting torched behind them, and it's because of the speed being displayed by these Glenbard East wide receivers, and it cannot continue to happen. As we now see their kicker, number 48 for Glenbard East, taking the kick here.
Yeah, he's been their elected kicker all night, as he's not on the roster. Maybe a man from the JV team, as Marosic de Jesus receives this kick. He's going to try to take it up the middle, runs into one of his own men, and gets to about the 25.5-yard line.
We saw what Glenbard East was able to do at the 20-yard line. We'll see what RB can do.
Yeah, obviously we haven't seen a deep ball attempt from Garcia yet, but we hope to sometime soon, as they are in desperation mode, down 4 with 6 minutes left in the half.
Yeah, now is certainly the time, and if there's any positive to take away from this, it's that there no longer is pressure for Garcia for Bilo Bradick with these kicks. The student section, a large portion of them have most likely already cleared out, and playing down 28 for this first-year quarterback, let's just play loosely, play freely.
Yeah.
Getting those reps passing.
This is where you show your upcoming teammates what you're capable of, what you can do in these next coming years, and just show some potential. As he's going to fake the handoff, looks downfield for Rivera. Right on cue, he fires downfield, gets a good gain and a first down after about a 15-yard pass play from Rivera.
An excellent start to this possession by RB, as he's able to find Nick Rivera in coverage by 3 others around him, but he's able to dot it up perfectly to him. And Rivera, after the catch, is able to brush off the incoming tackle from Stephen Fox for extra yardage. Great all-around play from both playmakers.
Yeah, it seems to be in somewhat of a hurry-up offense for the Bulldogs, trying to get some kind of, momentum going in to this half, as the whole entire receiving corps has to switch sides with 10 seconds on the play clock, resulting in a Bulldog timeout.
Timeout for the Bulldogs.
That's not what you want to see after a big play.
Alluding to Nick Rivera's presence in this game so far, he's already had 2 big plays, and he's already surpassed his yardage total from last game, where he had 2 receptions for 31 yards, including a touchdown, which was the first time he has logged a touchdown in his entire career. And it's great to see him as a senior finally getting the reps and volume he deserves.
Yeah, a man who recently switched his position, who was, deemed to be a D lineman for his size, but didn't really have the weight to it. And he obviously has shown to have some speed to him that most D linemen don't have. So he's been able to be a deep threat for Garcia, and a big one at that, which has come to be helpful for a man like Garcia, who has sometimes some struggles with overthrowing.
Yes, and he's even available on the slant route at times, down short, if Garcia just needs a short pass to find to alleviate some of that pressure he's been feeling. If the go route's not there, he can always count on Rivera to be open.
Yeah. We'll see the elected play here. They're going to keep it again with Garcia. Look out wide to James Long. That's a new face of the day. He's going to get tripped up by Amante Cook, but gets about 6 or 4 or 5.
Here we go, and it may be too little too late, but we finally now see Garcia utilizing some more of his weapons and spreading the ball out some more.
Yeah. Like we said, it's about time where you just try to get the man comfortable. It's desperation mode, but you're not late game desperation mode. So you have lots of clock to work with, and we'll see what they take with that, as they're going to fake a handoff to Nick Caputo, and there seems to be some sort of face mask tackle with a flag thrown.
And you can see RB goes with the option play once again, feeling a little too timid to run the jet sweep that we've seen more commonly used when Karras is available.
Yeah.
Jaden Karras has always been useful for at least one jet sweep a game that has opened up this offense. But without him, they have not been able to run the play as much.
Yeah, and I was wrong on the penalty call. It's a holding on the offense, pushing him back even farther for this second down, leaving him with 17 yards to go.
Heading into these next plays, keep an eye on number 13 for Glenbard East, Cameron Ducato, and number 7, Stephen Fox, as they have been their lead guys so far in terms of tackles. They'll continue to make a difference most likely.
Looking for Rosic de Jesus, and he finds him on the short route as another awkward tackle results in another flag after a gain of around 14.
X is able to barrel through a few guys, including Cameron Ducato, who I just mentioned, on a little curl around where he receives the ball and then turns around and go forward. Very effective, and it seems that got a good chunkage of yardage there.
Yeah, and they will call the face mask this time. This will result in an automatic first down, as what you just saw on your screen was some of the fans cheering for the Bulldogs. Never a good sign when you've got sophomores and freshmen in the front of the student section.
That usually means that the seniors and juniors have already cleared out.
You know, there seems to be an empty student section as of right now, as they're going to fake the jet sweep again to Morozic to Jesus, but this time Garcia is going to push upfield for about 5 yards.
Up the middle, and you could see how that play was effective, as DeJesus was just used in the previous play. So Glenbard East was expecting to go back into his hands, which is why Garcia decided to go with it himself for some extra yardage. Clever.
Yeah, very clever play, mixing up the offense a little bit as they haven't prior to this drive. They're going to run it with the first time from a running back. It's Ratana. He's got blockers and he's got space. Bounces to the outside, just short of the line to beat. Leaves them with about a 3rd and 1.
Great jump cut by there to elude the tackle of number 42, Donovan Cobbs. Eventually met to go out of bounds by number 7, Stephen Fox. But the more RB continues to spread this ball around, the more it will confuse Glenbard East and hopefully result in some bigger plays.
Yeah, for sure. As a 3rd and short, which has been a rare occasion in this game, they've usually been stuck with some 3rd and longs. We'll see if they like to pass or throw. They're going to keep it up the middle with Garcia again. He's going to push forward well past the line to beat for a Bulldog first down and a gain of around 8.
Garcia averaged 9.1 yards per carry last week against West Chicago, or I may believe that had been against Elmwood Park. But nonetheless, we know his dynamic abilities as a runner, and they're going to continue to use him as a runner, as he is the leading rusher for this team.
Yeah, they're going to bring in an extra receiver out wide in John Biela-Bradek, leaving some guys open, hopefully creating some sort of offensive bursts. They're going to send up a blitz due to that, as Garcia can't get it all the way to the elected receiver, Caputo, who would have had blockers and room upfield.
It seems that the offensive line for RB is unable to adapt to the adjustments being made by Glenbard East. You could see Glenbard East put in motion number 13, Cameron Ducato, to go and blitz Garcia, and RB could not react to it in time, leading to a blitz and an incompletion.
Yeah, it seems like they reacted to the extra receiver being added. That was John Biela-Bradek. And instead of putting a cornerback out wide, they just decided to throw pressure at the sophomore quarterback, and it worked, leaving him with an incomplete pass and a 2nd and 10. As the snap is rolled, did not seem like anybody called for that one. But that's back-to-back errors.
Big issues communication-wise. We talk about it with the lack of being able to adjust. That's from the communication as well as that missed snap. Garcia needs to be a better communicator for this offensive line, as right now it's silent. It's like a cemetery.
Yeah, what seemed to be a big drive for the Bulldogs has just been shot down for another 3rd and long. As if they say they can't rely on a field goal at this point in the game, they're going to need a chunk play here on 3rd down. And Garcia's going to look downfield. Nobody's open. He's got a man in his face. He's going to throw it. Looking for Ratana. Can't find him. And it's 4th and 17.
Garcia has no time in the pocket, immediately being rushed by number 91 on Glenbard East, Sam Walton. And that becomes a problem when he's looking for that Hail Mary play down the field, where he needs time for his receivers to get down to the end zone. And it is too short of a window for him to make a connection.
Yeah, as no surprise here, the Dogs will stay out just outside of field goal range and well inside of punt range. As we'll see the elected downfield play. He's looking to Xavier Mosick to Jesus' side, but he's going to check one down to the middle for Nick Rivera. Not the right throw there. Gives them a gain of around 4 or 5, but they needed 17.
They did. And speaking of Glenbard East's dominance so far this game, we were wary of how RB would match up against them going into it. we knew that Glenbard East had some incredible results against some teams RB had played against prior in the season, such as Elmwood Park, who they absolutely smattered 65-13, followed by a win the next week against Ridgewood, 41-8, which left a few of us a little nervous about the outcome of this game. And then those nerves were heightened when we saw that they beat West Chicago 49-14, a team that RB had just lost to last week, 41-10.
Yeah, and back out comes the Glenbard East offense. They move a man in motion. That's number 19, Mustafa Usami, and he's going to get the ball this time out wide as he's got blockers to move. That's Mohamed Musleh moving upfield from a screen pass on the right side. Turns into a left side gain past midfield down near the 30.
And I don't think people understand how difficult of a movement that is to go from one side of the green all the way to the other that quickly, evading the oncoming pressure of the RB secondary. Excellent speed and maneuvering from Mohamed Musleh there to get an amazing amount of yardage on that play.
Yeah, and that comes down to injuries again. When you have big guys like Oscar Aguirre and Ren Mason who are supposed to be shadowing people like Musleh, it turns out to be a big killer as he looks downfield again. That's knee. He makes his connection to Chris Renford again, the man of the hour.
Knee's accuracy so far this game has been astounding. He's been able to connect with almost every receiver down the field, deep, and it continues to move along as Glenbard East will hope to get a score here before the second half, putting them up by five total scores, which would be definitely a killer for RB.
Yeah, RB has been the victim to some big losses, but they have not been down this much going into a half, which was never a good sign. Knees under center, he's going to fake the handoff. He's going to find his man Cook downfield, looking to break a tackle. He will not. He's wrapped up by Eric Servin. And we're going to send us downfield to a field side interview.
My name is Tito Gonzalez, and I'm here with a veteran here at the RB football game. Can you give us your name and what branch you served in?
Douglas Rasmussen, and I served in the Navy and the Marine Corps.
Alrighty, when did you start your service and how long did you serve for? How many tours?
I went in at age 20 and I was in for 4 years, and the last year I spent in Okinawa with the Marines.
What does RB holding a dedicated Veterans Day game mean to you?
I think it's important to recognize us for the dedication that we gave when we were serving, and we were not recognized back then, but I'm thankful that we are now. And anywhere that I wear my cover, people come up to me and say thank you for your service, and I appreciate that. I'm sure that other veterans are also appreciative of that as well.
What advice would you like to offer to those young individuals here at RB, maybe younger, anywhere else watching this? What advice would you like to offer them if they're seeking to enlist?
I think the important thing is what you gain here in high school and participating in these sports, whether it's football or any other sport or band. They all have lessons to teach you, to prepare you to do teamwork once you go in, if you become enlisted. Or, I don't know, if I had it to do again, I think I'd rather get my college and go in as a commissioned officer. But the programs that they have, I don't think are available as much as they used to be anymore with the ROTC. I don't know if you have that here or not.
I don't think we have one here, but I know many colleges do offer such a program. Correct.
So I think it's important that you gain that sense of pride and teamwork and accomplishment when you're in high school and you participate. Like I said, it could be in band, it could be cheerleading, it could be anything where there's a group and you participate with one another and you learn from an instructor. And I think that prepares you not just for going forward in your life, but certainly going into the service.
All right, thank you. On behalf of RBTV and the rest of Riverside Brookfield High School, I'd like to thank you for your service from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you every single day.
Thank you.
And thank you for agreeing to interview.
All right.
And while we were away, Glenbard East added to their point total, accelerating it to 35-0 after a Michael Nee rush touchdown, going to the wide end of the end zone for a 4-yard rush touchdown. Unfortunate way to end off this half with 10 seconds left to go.
Yeah, right away into the interview, as you guys missed, Andrew Oliveras came up with a big sack, and we thought some great things were going to happen, as they usually do when we go into interviews, but did not happen, as Michael Nee was able to scramble on a pass play, pushing himself towards the end zone.
Speaking of Andrew Oliveras, one of the brighter sparks of this RB team this year, he was arguably the most improved player of the season. He came into this varsity program as a sophomore, and at the beginning he was not slated to get many minutes, but this quickly changed once head coach Sam Styler saw what we now all see, which is 200 pounds of brute force. And this kid is both a stalwart on defense and on offense as a center. He is currently squatting 455 pounds, which is a program lifting record. And greater things are surely to come, as he is only a sophomore with a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, future is definitely bright for most and many of these Bulldog players, but sadly, the present seems to be quite sad, as we are down 35-0, heading into halftime with the last kickoff of the half.
I can only assume that these seniors will start to be playing a lot more now heading into the second half, as this will likely be their last reps on a football field for most of them. And head coach Sam Styler will want to ensure that they all see the field for their last final game.
Yeah, as a squib kick was the choice there, as it goes to junior Michael Callis,
Michael Callis on the return for the
who
Bulldogs.
gets a good 4 or 5 yards, but
Hey, fans,
not much after being
please
met
remember to
by
stop
the
by the
strong
band and theater
special
fundraising
teams of
stand
the
for
Rams,
tasty,
as we are about to head into our last play
freeze-dried breads
of
and
the
skills.
half.
Any positives you can take away from this game so far, Liam?
And delicious
I mean, not many. We've seen a couple times Garcia and his running backs get some good gains on the runs, which would maybe be my biggest positive of the game, and maybe even men like Nick Rivera finding the open space and getting big yard gains, as Jacob Bertana is going to get tackled out by the sideline for the last play of the half by Sam Walton, leaving us with a somewhat mostly depressing first half.
Yeah, that will end our coverage of the first half, as RB seem to be in an insurmountable deficit, down 35-0. We hope for more improved schemes and plays to come heading into the second half, but that will conclude our coverage for now.
Stalwartly marching in the lead, here comes the spirit of RB, the RB Marching Band. Leading the band this year are drum majors Catherine Nessler and Marilyn Urban. The band wishes to express their heartfelt gratitude to the Armed Forces of America. Thank you for your dedicated service that allows us to pursue our passion and share our music. And now, please enjoy the RB Band's halftime performance, Long Live the Queen.
Yeah, you didn't hear us, so there's no way. Welcome back to RBTV's Game of the Week, where Riverside Brookfield will look to rebound back from a 35-0 deficit to start the second half, in which they had an abysmal first half, with their secondary being torched and eviscerated by the sheer athleticism and speed of the Glenbard East wide receivers and skill players. Liam, what is one thing RB needs to shore up to ensure a better outcome for the second half?
I mean, it's kind of hard just to say one thing. I mean, there's been so many struggles throughout this offense and on the defensive side of the ball. It's just kind of been a mess for RB. I think we have to kind of change up the playbook, change up the calls. The Rams have really been all over everything that we've kind of tossed at them.
At the break, we've been speaking with one of the assistant coordinators for Riverside Brookfield, Ricky McDonald, who said that he's expressed his own frustrations and that RB has not changed up the scheme at all. They've been sticking with the option plays that have resulted in 3rd and longs every time. And from that, RB has been blitzed and unable to pick up a first down, and if they have, it's been very seldomly. So the hope is that RB can, like you said, change their playbook around and look for some bigger plays downfield, hopefully utilizing Xavier Moroza de Jesus, Nico Caputo, and Nick Rivera.
Yeah, and like we just have been talking about, is changing up the playbook. It doesn't help them whatsoever that we are down 35. We need to change up the playbook, and we don't get the ball to start the half. We started with the ball and had a quick 3-and-out, Actually, it was a decent drive, but it's just not been the kind of football that you want to see in the last game of the season with their playoffs on the line.
Yeah, the start RB's going to need to have is going to have to start with their defense, getting a stop which has been difficult considering Michael Nee, their quarterback for Glenbard East, has been playing out of his mind so far, connecting on almost every deep ball he's thrown with his wide receivers, Amante Cook and Chris Renford, who have been absolutely dynamic for this offense.
Yeah, and the first kickoff of the day for Bela Braddock is underway, and it's to Renford. Renford's going to look for a block up the sideline. He's got one, and story of the night, Renford breaks free and gets tripped up by John Bela Braddock, but his return takes them well inside Bulldog territory around the Bulldog 29-yard line.
So I'm going to say the obvious here, that is not the start you want to see right away from the initial kickoff. So much frustrations happening inside the locker room at halftime, and these are only getting amplified with the opening kickoff of the second half. Glenbard East able to drive right down with their special teams in Chris Renford and putting them in optimal field position around the 25-yard line.
Yeah, last time Glenbard East had this field position, they walked in for a touchdown. They had a pretty simple drive. Didn't take them too long to get into the end zone. Not that they're fighting any clock whatsoever, but not the start you want for the Bulldogs. As Nee will take the snap, hands it off to Heredia, who is forced way back behind the line of scrimmage. We'll see where they mark forward progress at. They give him a gain of 1.
And he is met by the presence of Julian Espinosa, one of the first times we were mentioning him in this game, a senior linebacker, as well as Max Strong, who were able to stop him at the line, resulting in only a gain of 1 yard for now a 2nd and 9 for the Rams.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt if the Rams are just going to try to run this ball the entire game or the rest of this entire game, because they have no need to throw the ball. There's no need to risk an injury for your quarterback in Michael Nee when this game is already so far out of hand. As they give it back to Heredia, who fumbles this time, and Myron Bia is going to hop on it, and the Bulldogs are going to get the ball.
Glenbard East getting a little too cocky there, trying to get a little creative, trying to pitch it once the run was already drawn up, and that results in a turnover. Hopefully RB can capitalize off this momentum, as Glenbard East that was a dumb decision by the running back Valentino Heredia.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the spark that the Bulldogs needed, though. If they can't start with the ball, why not get it back right away, in which they did. Kind of right on cue. As I said, they have no need to throw the ball. There's no need to risk injury, and clearly they should have thrown the ball.
And I'm intrigued to see head coach Sam Styler's approach for the rest of this game, as it'll be interesting to see if he puts in a majority of his seniors, as this may be the last time they ever see the field, or if he'll try to go out and turn this game around, maybe try to get a comeback, which would be one for the history books.
Yeah, as showing pass is Garcia. He's going to get a little toss behind screen pass, but Garcia's going to go upfield as a blocker, and Morozic DeJesus going to try to get to the outside corner. Does not, as he's tackled by Stephen Fox after a gain of about 7.
Eventually tackled behind by Stephen Fox, and it seemed that Xavier was winding up for a throw there
to Garcia.
It looked like there's a little bit of trickery going on that they were not able to execute on, but positive sign for this RB offense that they're getting a little more creative now, looking for some more options to go and get some extra yardage.
Yeah, as Renteria is the back for this drive. To start the drive, they are going to give it to him. He's going to look for a block, gets one, pushes to the outside, but gets tripped up by Chris Renford.
And he is assisted with a tackle by number 12, Orlando Hoy, who has been putting his body on the line a couple times this game so far, and which will bring up a 3rd down and 1 for the Bulldogs. A 3rd and short for a rare time in this game.
Yeah, and like we talk about almost every pregame show, is they just struggle on these 3rd down conversions, even when they're the short ones. So this is going to be a much-needed 3rd down if they want any chance of coming back in this football game. They're going to give a keeper to Garcia, and they do not get the 1st down. That's number 91, Walton, on the tackle, holding the Bulldogs.
I don't see why they don't go for it here. They have nothing to lose, and it's only a 4th and 1, possibly even a 4th and inches. So what if they turn over the ball at this point? It does not matter.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, as you say, there's a lot of football left, but if you give the ball back and Glenbard East gets a touchdown, that just leads to running clock, which gives you even less time to get anything going for your team. As the punt is good away from Bila Bradek, a little bit of backspin on it, lands at the 35 and sticks.
Number 10, Hank Schendel, almost got a finger on that with the punt. Frustrated afterwards that he could not get his hands on that, but nonetheless, it is around the 35 yards that Glenbard East will receive this ball. And going back to their failed third down conversion earlier, it seemed that Glenbard East was easily able to anticipate what was about to occur, as they had Renteria lined up alongside Garcia, which was a signal that they probably weren't going to run into him, as he's not been used a lot so far in this game, with Ratana being more of the bell cow.
Yeah, it's what we said when we opened up this half, was the read option plays aren't working. The same option plays that you've been running the whole game haven't gotten us anywhere near the end zone, as Nee is going to throw it out wide to Cook. Cook's going to get some blockers, and he's going to push for a first down on the screen pass.
Going by the nickname Showtime, he is showing why he is deserving of that name, making plays under the lights so far, including already racking up a touchdown to start off the scoring for Glenbard East, putting them up 7-0 very early in this first quarter of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Cook has quite literally cooked our defense this entire game. It feels like almost every time that they have a guy open, it's just been a completed pass with the arm of talent from Michael Nee. But as you look at the Bulldog defense, you see a lot of changes. We said don't be surprised if a whole senior defense hops in, and that's what it looks like. A lot of seniors in for the Bulldogs as they look downfield. Nee looks for his man, Lucas Fries, who had an 80-yard touchdown earlier today, to no avail.
Yeah, and that's actually hard to outreach the grasp of Lucas Fries, who is standing at 6'2", the tallest player on this offense. It's unfortunate that he's unable to connect, as that went right through his hands.
Yeah, that seemed to be another touchdown if he is able to catch that ball, unless Jacob Godoy is able to trip him up there, who is a safety who's new into the game for his last game as a Bulldog.
And we're reiterating, this secondary has been getting obliterated this whole game, partially due to the absence of Oscar Aguirre, with Michael Callis stepping in as a replacement.
And they're going to run a little jet sweep play to Cook, and Cook's going to get 8 on the gain, and he stays down.
Speaking of the jet sweep, that is a play that RB has not been able to utilize quite frequently due to the loss of another player, Jaden Karras, who we've mentioned before was very dynamic and very useful in those types of plays due to his amazing set of speed.
Yeah, for sure. As Cook makes his way off the field after an injury timeout was called, the refs are gonna make the Bulldogs and the Rams break huddle as Cook's able to walk off. Seems to be fine after his injury, which is a good sight to see, as he will be a needed guy if they attempt or intend on making any sort of playoff run.
And speaking of playoffs, during this timeout, let's speak on the theoreticals. What if RB does pull out and win this game? Well, then they would most likely play East St. Louis, a nationally ranked team who is currently playing IMG Academy tonight.
As that's one of the nation's top games to watch in general, as those are two nationally ranked teams from different sides of the country. As there's a first down catch from Lucas Fries, who pushes up to the 35-yard line, nearing the red zone again for this Rams offense.
And the last time RB played against East St. Louis was in the 2021-22 season, where RB lost in a similar blowout fashion like they're losing in tonight, where they lost 66-0, also in the first round of the playoffs, which would be when they'd play them if they do win this game. And one of the players they had to come up against was Luther Burden III,
which is one of the nation's best receivers in college football. As Cook's going to get another pass on the screen pass, looked to be headed towards the end zone, but gets stopped by Jacob Godoy, making a tackle on his first drive of the game.
It looks like Amonte Cook was going for a slide there, but decided not to, trying to possibly hurdle or break past Godoy, but Godoy was able to stand firm and knock him out of bounds, resulting in no touchdown, but still they are in prime position to score deep in the red zone.
Yeah, and I would be not surprised whatsoever to see another pass play from Michael Nee, but they're not going to pass it. They're going to give it to Heredia again, or excuse me, that's Dennis this time, as Heredia is off the field due to his fumble.
5-yard gain.
Yeah, it seems now that they'll give Dennis the ball a lot more with him having the hot hand. Like you said, Heredia had a fumble earlier, which will maybe put him out of favor with the coaches. They want him to maybe take a back seat to Dennis for the time being.
Yeah. I mean, there's really no point at this time of the game to keep your starters in and let them make errors too. Let them create bad habits against, obviously maybe a team at the caliber that you'll see in your first playoff game.
That's another good point. Glenbard East, they've already secured their playoff spot in the 7A bracket. They're currently 7-1 on the season. Only loss coming about 2 months ago.
As Nee looks for his favorite target of the half, Cook, for in the end zone, but Cook was not turned in enough time, as it'll result in an incomplete pass and a 3rd and goal, excuse me.
But yeah, speaking on their loss, it only came about 2 months ago, a long time ago. On September 6th, they lost to West Aurora, 45-20, but ever since then, they have been hot, including 4 consecutive conference wins, which could be a 5th if they win here tonight. And that would mean that they would be conference champions for the 2nd year in a row, which would be something incredible, as they are so far undefeated in conference with a perfect 5-0 record.
Yeah, and running out of time they are, and they're going to have to use a timeout. Or, yeah, they will get the timeout called as the play clock was winding to its final seconds, which is not what you want to do in a game where you're trying to wind the clock down.
Yeah, definitely a tactic here is that they could be trying to chew clock. 7 minutes, 4 seconds left already in the 3rd quarter as it has been passing us by. Not ideal for RB is not giving them much time to mount a comeback. However, definitely ideal for Glenbard East as they're trying to close out this game and get out of here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you look at the field, you see a defense full of maybe backups and some seniors playing in their last game. I think the play here for Glenbard East has to just be get in the end zone and let RB take time off the clock, not try to run a ball here and run another play, because obviously the more you play in this blowout game, it's just the more you risk injuries.
Absolutely, and what they do not want to do is turn the ball over like they did in their first possession of the second half, in which they stupidly made that trickery play.
And they're going to throw up a fade ball here to...
That is Chris Renford once again, and that is a beautiful dot over the shoulder where only Renford can reach it for a touchdown.
I mean, didn't look like John Evans even had a chance. That ball was so perfectly thrown.
Not at all. John Evans, who has not had much success during this game, partially due just to the greatness of Renford and Nee coming together. Once again, I believe that is multiple touchdowns now on the day for Renford, both on offense and on defense.
I think that's his 3rd touchdown in total touchdowns.
Player of the game for Glenbard East, without a doubt. Michael Nee as well.
As the field goal is yet again good, making this lead just even farther, 42-0, a 7-possession lead, or excuse me, 6.
And it feels silent right now. That's because it is. The student section is completely wiped out, as we saw at the halftime break. All of the seniors and juniors have unfortunately left, which is sad to see that there is not much school spirit, but they felt that it was not worth sticking around to watch this butt kicking we've seen so far of RB.
Yeah, as you see on your screen here, the middle man was Xavier Morozic de Jesus. He's a guy that we kind of need to get more involved in this game. It's his last game of the season. Obviously not his last as a Bulldog. But if you're down 42, you might as well get your playmakers in. You might as well get them some touches in their last game.
Yeah, some players we're seeing on the field currently is Bobby Zobel, who is a senior, and Jack Boyle we saw earlier as well, another senior. Both guys not been seeing a lot of minutes so far this season, but because this is most likely their last game considering the score, they need to see the field in the eyes of head coach Sam Styler.
This is something you don't really see often. There's Myron Bia back to receive the kick with Xavier Morozic de Jesus. Myron Bia is a defensive lineman for the Bulldogs. That's not a caliber player, a kick returner / D lineman. So we'll see if the ball ends up in his hands, and we'll see what he can do with the ball.
I really hope he receives this kick. I want to see him blow up some guys.
I would love to see some truck as the kick is underway, and it looks to be going right to Bia. He's going to catch it, and he's going to look upfield. He's got some blocks, too. Bia's going to take a pile down with him, and he's going to get to the 25-yard line.
Absolutely pummeling number 10, Hank Schendel, in the process. Schendel had no chance.
For the Bulldogs will have a...
And alluding to the IMG game we talked about earlier, the score currently between them and East St. Louis is 7-7, a tight-knit affair, as that is certainly a game to watch, as if RB does pull out a comeback here, which seems unlikely, that would be the team they would play, would be East St. Louis.
Yeah, and with 2 minutes left in the game and you're playing an IMG Academy school as East St. Louis, which is just a high school, not a school that you really can recruit for football, that's a very impressive game going on for East St. Louis as Garcia's going to look downfield. He's got Nick Rivera. Nick Rivera down to the 20-yard line, to the 15, to the 10, to the end zone. Nick Rivera lights a spark in the Bulldog offense.
Something you love to see. Number 16, Cameron Troy, who was in hot pursuit of him behind him, had no chance. He looks like a little scrub behind him. Nick Rivera outweighing him both in size and stature, taking it to the crib to get going. This, and as we see in the replay,
or what we looked to see in the replay as the screen freezes up on us, that was just a beautifully drawn up play. Looks like they kind of took a play out of Glenbard East playbook, as we've seen that look over the middle plenty of times from the Rams, as we try it once and we get a big 75-yard touchdown.
A deceptive route run by Xavier, who is usually the man on the go route. They switch roles. Nick Rivera going deep and connecting with his quarterback, G. Garcia, for the long touchdown. Those are the first points on the board for RB. Unfortunately, the extra point is no good, however.
Yeah, there seemed to be a hand in there by Sam Walton, who's been a man who's been disrupting the offensive line and clearly the special teams line. He's been a force to be reckoned with. But let's talk about the positives here. That's Nick Rivera's second touchdown of the season. That's his second touchdown as a Bulldog. I mean, that's great to see. That's a big body moving for 75 yards.
As we saw, that surely put a smile on his face, something you love to see from a senior that will most likely be seeing his last game.
Yeah.
Something now he can go on a positive note.
Yeah, for sure. And another positive you can take out of that is Giancarlo Garcia. He's been forced out of the pocket plenty of times this game. And this time he decided he's going to take his time. He's going to look for a man, look downfield. It was closing, too. It was a very, very close pocket to collapsing on him. But he stayed calm, fired downfield with a big 75-yard touchdown for Nick Rivera. And the Bulldogs have some momentum going into this defensive drive.
A lot of maturity and poise shown by the sophomore quarterback, as he seems to be displaying a lot more composure, knowing that the outcome of this game may not matter as much anymore, already down such a big deficit.
Yeah, and the kick is underway from Bela Bradek. They're going to do an onside kick. It's out, and it's the Bulldogs football.
And things just keep going their way for RB as they're looking to mount an unlikely comeback here. And that's where you want to start.
Yeah, that's Jacob Godoy in there getting that ball for the onside kick. We've seen that play earlier in games earlier this season from John Bela Bradek. He's very successful at it, at making a guy miss, or even, just letting his team be the first guy there.
And that completely fooled Glenbard East special teams with only number 13, Cameron Ducato, coming after it, and it hitting him in the chest, but unable to come up with the ball, allowing for RB to maintain possession, trying to drive down the field for another score here.
Yeah, we'll see if they stick to the air game, as it seems to be the only thing that's worked for the Bulldogs. As they put Morozic de Jesus in motion, they're going to keep it with Garcia again. We've seen that play many times today. This time it's successful for about 6.
Cash Ammons having a missed tackle. He's a safety for Glenbard East, a player we've not been mentioning much. It's possible Glenbard East could be putting in their backups right now, allowing for RB to have so much success, as they still are up 42-6.
Yeah, as you said, putting in their backups, they threw in a couple of starters. They brought back in Stephen Fox, and they brought back in Kendrick Dennis. Or excuse me, that's the wrong man. That's Nick Sabold. As they're going to look that way, but Sable's got it covered. They're going to look to Caputo this time, who has his pass broken up by Abdul Musleh.
Great punch out shown from him there. Great coverage. And another player that we're seeing now, Chris Renford, being taken out in replacement by number 5, Eric Heinley, who is matching up against RB's star wide receiver, Morozic de Jesus. So hopefully Garcia can recognize that mismatch in assignments and maybe throw the ball his way.
Yeah, and now Morozic de Jesus lines up against Abdul Musleh, who has been the guy that has been able to break out some pretty good passes, as they're going to run it on 3rd down as Stephen Fox throws in an extra push and gets yelled at by the ref. And on the sideline, there seems to be a little bit of confusion as the offensive coordinator did not like how that play ended up.
I do hope Stephen Fox keeps his hair for the playoffs. He reminds me of a young Troy Polamalu. And
yeah, with that hair.
That is certainly a menacing look that I would not want to come up against as an opposing wide receiver.
Oh, for sure. The Bulldogs will elect to go for it on 4th down because what do you have to lose? Not much. As a faked handoff, as they're going to throw it to James Long, and there's not going to be a connection there, but a flag is thrown.
Number 42, Donovan Cobbs, was all over that, immediately getting to Garcia, not giving him much time, so he is forced to check down along, and it's an incompletion because it is thrown short.
And the sidelines show it's going to be against the Bulldogs as the defense heads out there. And the penalty is declined. Seemed to be a holding on the offense.
Meanwhile, time is continuing to run down as we approach the 2-minute warning. The metaphorical 2-minute warning, as that does not exist in high school football. But nonetheless, 2 minutes left in this 3rd quarter, as the Rams will now have the 1st down and 10 at their own 45.
And not only have the Bulldogs brought in their backup, so have the Rams. Quarterback, that's Max Salick, is going to hop into this game for his first snaps. He's going to take it. He's going to roll out to his left, look downfield, and it's picked off. That's number 24, Luke Ferguson. Beautiful catch. Climbs the ladder, extends his arms, and brings it down.
That was Max Salick's first and last rep at quarterback this game, as he will instantly be taken off for their starter, Michael Neef, for the rest of the night. But great catch, nonetheless, by Luke Ferguson, who, like you said, gets up there for some hops. And another turnover for RB. That is their 2nd of the night.
Yeah, that was a
3rd of the night.
Yeah, beautiful interception from Luke Ferguson. He read that play like a children's book. He saw his man hop out, and he kind of pinched the throw, jumped up, and that ball was his, getting his 2nd interception of the season.
The question is, what's next for this offense?
As they fake the handoff, they're going to look Morozic de Jesus' way. He's got space, and he catches it down the sideline to the end zone. Xavier Morozic de Jesus shows us what's next for the offense.
That answers my question right there. RB now is mounting some successful back-to-back drives. Beautiful drawn-up play by this offensive coordinator. Incredible show athleticism from Xavier Morozic de Jesus. What a play.
Yeah, and you know, this is good to see. There's some sparks in this Bulldogs offense, even though they're down such a wide margin in their last game. That's 2 big touchdowns, which haven't been things that we've seen throughout this season. We've seen some some short trick plays result in touchdowns, but not some long passes like we've seen twice now today.
This is exactly the mentality you need to have as a coach. Forget about the first half. What's the score of the second half? Well, it's currently 13-7 RB. You got to separate the 2 halves and realize that RB has been dominating so far in this second half.
I mean, that's a beautiful 1-2 punch play right there. Luke Ferguson able to come up with the interception, and then the next play, Garcia finds his main man, Xavier Morozic de Jesus, down by the numbers and down to the end zone.
If that's how you want to get some energy stirring among your bench and your roster, that's how you do it. You need some big plays like that, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, which is what we just got. And hopefully they can keep the ball rolling as Glenbard East will step up now, and RB will look to turn over once again.
Yeah, we'll see if the Rams approach this kickoff differently, in which they do, not even having a man back, or now finally sending a man back, which is Amonte Cook, who's been the man the whole game. We'll see what kind of kickoff we'll get from the Bulldogs. And John Bradek seems to line up his normal way. I've never seen a return like this.
It seems like Glenbard East is anticipating the onside kick once again. I would imagine RB runs with it, but the way that they're lining up, it could be the contrary.
I mean, they do have a good hands team up front. I would try to say kick it to some open field.
Here it is.
And they do go for the outside kick, and it's free again. Who's got it? And it is the Rams that have it this time. Almost back-to-back onside kicks working out for John Bradek, as we're going to get another look at that touchdown earlier from Morozic to Jesus. And maybe we won't, as the replay seems to have failed, but that's all good as the Bulldog defense hops back out there.
Yes, and at least that replay gave us another chance to reminisce about that beautiful play that was drawn up as Morozic de Jesus completely torches the two players in the secondary. That had been so great all game for Glenbard East, such as Stephen Fox, and he takes it to the crib.
Yeah, and that wraps up our third quarter of football for tonight's game, which is the last game of the season. Something I want to talk about is John Bradek's ability to convert on these onside kicks.
Yeah, he's given RB some real chances for both of them. Even in that last one where Glenbard East recovered on top of it with their junior wide receiver, Nathan Cudd, they had an actual chance of getting on top of it as it evaded the opening line of Glenbard East players.
Yeah, it made it to the second line of guys due to a massive bounce from the kick that came off of Bradek's foot. There was men like Myron Bia around there that just kind of lost sight of the ball as it hit a guy's hands at the line. I would guess it was a man like, I don't know, Taryn Hatter, who would be at the line, some hands guys, maybe Stephen Fox. But it was a beautiful attempt at an onside kick for a team expecting an onside kick as well.
Yeah, Bia and Ratana were inches away from getting on top of that themselves, and unfortunately they could not come away with it, but well done by John Bradek to give the special teams a chance at least.
Max Salek's going to take his second snap of the day. This time he's going to run it, and he's going to get to the outside, looking to redeem himself, and he's going to get popped by Jacob Godoy, but after a big gain.
Number 7, Jacob Godoy on the stop for the Bulldogs.
And another update from our East St. Louis IMG game of the night. East St. Louis has taken the lead 13-7 in overtime.
I could only imagine a win against IMG Academy would thrust them into the top 10 national rankings.
No doubt.
This just speaks volumes to the program that East St. Louis has assembled over the years. Like we mentioned before, they have housed the top NFL draft prospect in Luther Burden III, who currently goes to Missouri and is one of the best wide receivers in the nation, along with many others. And they are easily the best team in Illinois right now, so it would definitely be trouble if RB were to play them in the next round.
Yeah, no doubt. As something we did miss in our excitement for that East St. Louis game is a holding call on that last run is going to push the ball back plenty of yards, but still going to be given the first down is Glenbard East, as Salek's going to take the snap, hold it again, looks to the outside. He's got room, but not much room, as he's going to go out of bounds after maybe a gain of 4.
It seems that the coach has been imploring Max Salek to just run with the ball, as the last time he tried passing it, it resulted in an interception.
Yeah, his QBR is at an all-time low, as I don't think it can be lower, being 1 for 1 in the interception column and 0 for 1 in the completion column.
Absolutely, and I think running it will only be in Glenbard East's favor as well, as they look to chew some more clock. Time continuing to run down with 10 minutes left in this game. Great third quarter, though, speaking on how successful RB were in the last 15 minutes that we had.
Yeah.
They won. They won the third quarter, 13-7.
Yeah, that's a great quarter of football, as Salek, again, is going to have another hiccup. He's going to drop a clean snap, and a sack will be gifted to Caleb McCautry.
I would not imagine Michael Nini returning for this game, but I will keep an eye out on number 9 for Glenbard East, Matthew Rachowski, who is the third-string quarterback, because if Salek continues to not play that well, we could see a change in the pecking order for Glenbard East.
Yeah, for sure.
And we have a score and final game update from East St. Louis IMG, where unfortunately if you're an Illinois fan, this is not good news, as IMG just won on a missed extra point by East St. Louis.
Wow. Sad way to end the game, as that is number 11, Nate Miller, getting his first handoff of the day from Max Salick on the 1st and 20 attempt, which will bring him back to a 2nd and 19.
With East St. Louis's loss, we were debating this a little bit, if that would have any effect on the seedings for the playoffs, as we wondered a loss in their record would indicate that maybe they won't play RB.
Yeah.
It's possible that RB could be playing Cary Grove if they win this game, who are the actual reigning state champions of the 6A division, which is surprising to many because
they were not a big name heading into those playoffs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as Max Salick's going to roll out again, but this time he's sacked. As it's on the far side of the field, looking for a number that's 15. That's Brian Rapilla on the sack. That's a sophomore up in there getting some business done.
Yeah, no, he's been a playmaker in some previous home games for RB. I remember mentioning his name before, and there he is getting involved late in the game tonight.
And it's 3rd or 4th and a quarter century for the Rams, and they will keep the offense out there.
4th and forever. They're taking the snap all the way back from Naperville.
Yeah, I mean, this is, we'll see, I mean, what you even draw up here. I mean, this is 25 very long yards.
And a flag in the RB secondary.
Flag on the play, delay of game on the offense.
Delay of game as they look to chew even more clock with it already being 4th and 25. What's the difference if it's 4th and 35?
Exactly, and it will keep the clock running because of the wide margin between RB and Glenbard East, as the clock will tick past 7 minutes. I would not doubt a punt, and they're going to try to get a punt off, but now they're going to have to run it. That's number 14 with space. That's Lucas Fries, who's a speed demon, what seemed to be, in a deep throw threat. Excuse me. I could not get that out.
Yeah, no, but he's already been a big problem for RB, converting on an 80-yard touchdown earlier in the game. That's a cute baby right there as we interrupt our coverage of the game. But he almost converted that first down there if he was not stymied by the secondary line of pressure by RB. Scary to see that they almost broke through on a 4th and 35. But
yeah, that was almost better that they didn't punt that ball, which, you know, as they have shown throughout the game, they do not have the best punting crew.
Crisis averted for both RB and Glenbard East.
Yeah, there seems to be a little confusion with Damian Nieves and one of the officials. Not sure what is wrong. He's kicked off the field.
And now play resumes with Ratana lined up alongside Garcia.
As McCautry hops in for Nieves as Ratana gets the handoff, gets tripped up by David Salgado after a gain of 2.
While many players on the field currently will be seeing their last snaps, Ratana is not one of them, as he is a junior that will be returning to the program next year. A hopeful sign for the RB running back room, as he will definitely be utilized a lot next year.
Yeah, we'll see if we take any deep shots here, because those have been really the only plays that have worked for the Bulldogs. As we're going to look back to throw again, it's going to find Rivera for a short gain of around 2 on the slant route.
He is quickly swallowed by safety Orlando Hoy, who was able to convert on a tackle that he does not miss at all there.
Yeah, and a 3rd and mid-range. Seems to be 3rd and 6. We'll see what the Bulldogs pull out of their sleeve here. Obviously in need of a first down and a touchdown somewhat soon.
From this point on, it's safe to say that they have 2 plays remaining when they're in a 3rd down situation, as they're definitely going to go for it on 4th down from here on out.
Garcia scrambles, trying to find something, and nobody gets open as he is met almost as he snaps the ball. Loses 6 on the play, and creates a 4th and 12.
And that is number 42, Donovan Cobbs, with a brutal tackle there, backing RB up significantly, which will be a 4th and very long for RB now. But nonetheless, like I said, RB will still elect to go for it.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, with Merlick DeJesus out wide, I would assume he'd be the intended target on some deep throw, and he will not be. They're going to throw one down the midfield to Nick Rivera, who catches it around the 35-yard line, and he's going to plow up to the 25 for a big gain and a first down for the Bulldogs.
Nick Rivera has been the brightest spot for this offense, without a doubt so far. He has been the favorite target for Garcia in this game, finding him on the slant route multiple times, including going for an 80-yard touchdown prior in the third quarter. Hopefully they can continue to connect in what is Nick Rivera's last game as a senior.
Garcia's going to step back to throw. He's got Rivera open again. Won't look for him. He'll look for 11. That's James Long, who has a man jump over him on his catch. He's going to pick up the first down and more, bringing him inside the 10 to the 7.
He carries Hank Schendel on him like a backpack until he's eventually brought down by him around the 10-yard line. But beautiful run, and then some yards after the catch racked up by another senior in James Long.
Yeah, it's something you don't really see often ever, is a man on defense jumping over a man on offense. But James Long holds on with an impressive catch as Garcia steps back to throw yet again, looks for Long again in the end zone, but he's met as he makes contact with the ball by number 10. That's Matthew Rukowski.
I believe that's Hank Schendel, who is getting his get back there after
wrong number,
being carried around that Dora the Explorer earlier in the first play, and then gets him on a boomstick there. It was in James Long's hands, but unfortunately he could not come down with it.
Yeah, that's a big hit off contact right there, and very hard catch to make on behalf of James Long, as Garcia is going to take the snap, looks to throw. He's got a man up the middle. It's Rivera. Rivera's in the end zone for a second time tonight. Leaving RB football with his mark left is Nick Rivera.
Nick Rivera found by Garcia on their marquee slant route that they had been accustomed to throwing in the second half. Beautiful design play once again. It keeps working, so they're going to keep using it.
And they're going to elect to go for 2 here, which could be a difference maker in this game, with it being late game and very close.
Yeah, time has quickly winded down where now there's less than 2 minutes on the clock. So things need to be moving quickly here. Minute 58 left to go. It could be out of reach, but RB's still looking to find every score they possibly can.
Yeah, and showing pass as lots of talk with the receivers has happened, and ultimately leading to a timeout for Glenbard East, as the confusion on the Bulldogs side leads them to even more confusion.
If RB can convert here and they can get a stop on Glenbard East going forward, they're going to see this as a win. They're going to see it as a win in the second half, although the first half they prefer not to talk about.
Yeah.
Going forward, just the way that they're able to turn the switch and adapt to what was going on, I mean, at least they're going to end off the season on a positive note.
Yeah, the difference between the first half and the second half is just night and day. It's been a completely different team that we saw compared to the first half, where they struggled to get near the red zone, which I don't know if they did once, besides when they were left close to the 25 on the fumble recovery from Myron Bia. But otherwise, they struggled first half, and they have seriously picked it up.
I'd say they've adhered to your Cohen's keys to the game in the second half, maintaining a strong defense and minimizing turnovers.
Exactly, and they're going to look over the middle on the 2-point conversion. That's for Rivera, and it's no good. Rivera in near double coverage cannot come down with it, and that will probably be the last play for the offense of this 2024 season.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're not able to connect there. That was maybe not the smartest throw by Garcia, throwing it into double coverage like that, but it could also be explained as Nick Rivera definitely with a hot hand right now.
Yeah.
You throw it to him no matter what, maybe in that situation, as he is a senior, and he's been catching every ball that's come to him so far.
Yeah, I was a little confused. They didn't look to that outside on his left, which was Xavier Merlick DeJesus, left in single coverage, and we've seen that man in single coverage can lead to some incredible catches. as he had one against Glenbard South where he climbed the ladder and caught a ball in front of the defender's face.
That was probably the play of the year when that did occur.
No doubt.
And we've been knocking the run-pass option that they've been using a lot in the first half, but that was maybe the time where they needed to use that. Garcia probably should have gotten greedy there and run it in for himself, as he had an open lane, and he should have slid right through it.
Yeah, and that will ultimately lead to most likely Garcia's last play of his rookie season on varsity as he finishes his sophomore season. First year on varsity, let's talk about it. I think he had a pretty great season.
Me too. He finished with a 93.2 total QBR heading into this game. He was first in the conference in both passing yards and total yards, which is something in and of itself that he had that amount of yards for only a sophomore quarterback in this offense. So yeah, overall, he's morphed into the starting quarterback for this team when there were initially questions about his role at the start of the season.
Yeah, I think obviously me and you won't be able to see him next season as we'll be off, hopefully in the colleges of our dreams, watching our football teams play. But Giancarlo Garcia is bound to have a step-up season next year, as from what he's done playing 0 club football, playing a year of freshman football, going into this season, he's been impressive.
Yeah, it's safe to say he has unfinished business. So much work still left to be done, and the hope is that he takes this game in the outcome of the season where they will most likely end up with a losing record going 4-5, and he takes it as motivation, fueling him to have an even better junior and then senior season.
As the handoff will go from Salick to
2-yard loss on the run play for the Rams.
Can't see who that is. Maybe number 9, Ruchkowski, or yeah, Matthew Ruchkowski. Ruchkowski, that's a hard name to pronounce there.
Great to see, though, that the spirits are still high among the RB defense and the bench as they're still coming up with plays this late in the game where it is meaningless. But trying to end the season off on a high note, regardless of the score, they played their tails off to end this game.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they clearly gave it all they had, all that they had left in the tank for the second half, as yet again the handoff to Ruchkowski results in a big loss, and that will end tonight's matchup between Glenbard East and Riverside Brookfield, ending on a high note, some would say.
A bittersweet ending to the season as you can't come away with a win, and that puts an end to the season, unfortunately, losing 42-19. But, like you said, they end on a high note with an absolutely dominant display in both the third and fourth quarter of this game to cap off what has been an excellent second half. That will conclude our coverage of tonight's game. So long from the Dog Pound for one final time.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a pleasure being up in this booth, and for the last time, kind of weird to say, but, I mean, it's been a blast. Every second of it.
And now, on to basketball season.